Field Experience Analysis Project by Tina McDaniel. Welcome to Roundtown Elementary School, located on 570 Church Road, York, Pennsylvania, 17404. I observed a first grade mainstreamed classroom on November 2nd, November 9th, and November 16th, 2016 from 8 in the morning until 12 in the afternoon. In my placement, I had the wonderful opportunity to work with Mrs. Jennifer Parr. She teaches a first grade general education classroom, which includes content such as math, reading, and writing. Her classroom is shown in the picture below. While I was there, we worked with a total of 20 students, and 20% of these students had a known disability. Majority of the class was Caucasian, although 3 students were of Asian descent. All of the students in this classroom were first graders, with ages ranging from 6 to 7. Unfortunately, my placement did not have any major disabilities. However, 3 students were diagnosed with ADHD, and 1 student has a writing disability. These are the students' reading assessment folders. Mrs. Parr uses DARS to assess the students' reading level, and then she is able to track their reading progress through continuous assessments throughout the year. When teaching or assessing them, she does so at one level higher than they're at in order to get them to that next level. The way she assesses them is by having them read a short book or story, and the students are then given a worksheet that asks them questions about the story, such as recalling important information and giving a general summary. To help all students improve in their reading skills, each student takes home a book of their choice every night. The books are separated by reading level, and the students are encouraged to try books that are a level above to help them get to that next level, although it is perfectly acceptable for the students to take books from their current reading level. Continuous practice with reading will help students who may be falling behind in this area. With the guided reading assignments conducted in class, the students have a lot of practice with both reading independently and with the help of their teacher. As I stated before, there are 3 students in this class that have been diagnosed with ADHD. However, while observing, I didn't see many accommodations being made for these students. There were no physical materials for them to manipulate to help them focus, and one of them was reprimanded several times for not sitting still or paying attention. Mrs. Parr did use specific language that was not cruel, such as listening is learning, but after several times she got frustrated and her reminders were not as encouraging. I feel it may be useful to include some sort of physical object or material these students can use if they feel the need to, in order to help them perform to the best of their ability, and to avoid getting in trouble for being a distraction to the other students in their class. Outside of each classroom, a table is in the hallway. These tables were used for students who needed extra help with a certain subject or specific content that was being taught in class. One example of when this type of instruction was used was during a math lesson. Mrs. Parr taught the lesson, then ran a game with the students to help them further understand the content, and after this, the students were given a worksheet to help them practice what they had learned. While doing this, any students who were struggling or needed extra help were taken outside of the classroom to these tables to get one-on-one help to help them gain a better understanding of the material. The students were then sent back into the classroom to continue working on their worksheets with now a better understanding of how to solve these types of problems. This is the guided reading rotation board. Every week, the students have guided reading activities. This includes 5 rotations that all entail different activities to help the students improve their reading and reading comprehension abilities. These activities include listening to a reading, silently reading to themselves, reading to Mrs. Parr, free writing, or doing word work. All of these activities help to strengthen the students' reading and writing skills. The students even get to work with Mrs. Parr, so if they are struggling, she's able to directly help them. The students do this frequently, so they usually know what they are doing, but this visual aid does help the child stay aware of what they should be doing at each station in case they forget. This activity is especially helpful for students struggling with reading and writing. The student with a writing disability is either taken out of the class at this time to work one-on-one with a specialist to receive extra support, or the aide will come into class during this activity and help the student go through the stations directly. One behavioral modification that stood out the most to me is not necessarily a modification or material, but rather a lack thereof. Mrs. Parr does not use behavior charts in her classroom as she feels they do more harm than good. To begin with, they are not helpful for students with disabilities such as ADHD. Every student wants to be good and wants to make their teachers and parents happy. However, some students, especially those with a disability such as ADHD, it's really hard for the student to control themselves and they can't help but do things they know they're not supposed to do. This can cause depression or lead to a poor self-esteem as they think they're not good enough no matter what they do. Behavior charts do effectively track behavior in the classroom, but they do nothing to help change it. I agree with Mrs. Parr's decision to rid of the behavior charts in the classroom and believe that every teacher should follow her example. In this picture is the circle rug that the students sit on whenever Mrs. Parr is teaching them a lesson, reading a book, or playing a game with them. She will use this rug to instruct the students where to sit and stay for that activity. She will say things such as sit on a letter or sit in the green circle. She uses this to keep the students well behaved and sitting where they should be, to help ensure that all students can see a picture in the book or all students can see the board when teaching them an activity. If students start moving around too much, she will kindly remind them where they are supposed to be sitting on the rug. Organizing the books into different reading levels is extremely helpful for the students. This way, they are able to easily take a book for their homework that night and replace the book they took the day before. They don't have to search for a book with their level written on the front in a big bin. They're able to easily walk over to the basket with their level on it, or even a level higher, and choose a book without any issues. On the floor in front of these books are the folders that hold the students' reading assessments, both completed and ones that will be completed in the future. These folders are also organized by reading level, so it is easy for Mrs. Parr to find what level each student is in, as well as their past assignments. This is useful to track progress within the students' assessments, and the organization makes it quick and easy for everyone. Before this placement, I have sadly had no previous experience with special education. Even though this placement did not include any major disabilities that would have required more classroom modifications or accommodations, I still gained valuable experience. Mrs. Parr has been teaching for over 25 years and is very experienced and professional. For not being specifically a special education teacher, she was able to successfully maintain a classroom that included children both with and without disabilities. After this experience, I fully agree that mainstreaming students with disabilities into regular classrooms is a great idea and positively impacts education of all the students in the class. Mainstreaming also helps students learn acceptance, and to be exposed to students with disabilities in their own classrooms helps them realize that they're just like them. This experience has given me the great opportunity to observe specific accommodations and modifications that are used for specific disabilities, such as the student with the writing disability being taken out of the class for extra support or having the aide come in to help with specific content areas. This experience also exposed me to different behavioral and organizational materials and several specialized instruction techniques that help students who are struggling with a specific subject or content area. After this placement, I am more aware of the instances of students with disabilities that are placed into general education classrooms. Walking into a class, just by looking, you most likely won't be able to tell how many students actually have a diagnosed disability. This being the first time I've ever had a chance to observe and work with special education students, I still have many questions. One of which is, how is it determined if a student with a disability is mainstreamed into general education classrooms or if they're placed in a self-contained classroom? One technique I've decided to adopt from Mrs. Parr's class is to avoid using behavior charts. I agree that although they are effective in tracking behavior, they are degrading and harmful to the student's emotional and mental health. There are many other options to control and track behavior in the classroom. Behavior charts should not be one of them. This is my documentation with signatures from both me and my teacher for all 3 visits. Thank you for watching.